What is up, guys? A very good morning and welcome to a new daily market outlook. So for the day ahead, let's dive in and see what is going on. So starting off with the dollar index saw a further decline in price as of last night during Asia session and has pulled in beautifully towards this area of daily demand, which initiated this change of character over here. So on the lower time frame, looking specifically at the 4 hour, we can clearly see, and I shared this also inside the Discord server, links to description down below, that we were looking for 106.014. As we can see, a perfect tap in towards here, pretty much liquidated all the lows every single time, and is now kind of like pushing up in towards the upside. So what do we need to see this demand zone hold and ultimately for price to start pushing up higher? Of course, just keep in mind on the 4 hour, we could move slightly lower, still towards, let's say 105.823 for demand to kind of like also still kick in, because this is, let's say, your ultimate refined zone. This is kind of like the let's say premature zone, or whatever you want to call it. Now moving in towards the 1 hour, what we can see over here is a perfect liquidation pretty much of this New York low and is now reversing in towards the highs. Ultimately, what I now want to see, and again guys, remember from yesterday's video, kind of like these 2 wicks now also forming demand over here. But what I was referring to from structure, I want to see this high now break, because when that high breaks over there, demand is created over here, and we can then definitely say, okay, dollar index is ready to move up higher in towards that supply zone with this beautiful liquidity high located over here, before then either selling off further in towards the downside, or of course pushing up higher. And why are we looking for higher prices despite the 4 hour having pulled back in towards the equilibrium, so the 50% mark of the overall swing range? Well, because of the fact that we're now reversing from not, let's say in my eyes, a very legitimate area of supply. Additionally, this is a very strong area of supply. We have clear liquidation, so for me it would make far more sense to see one more push up. Then what would we form? This beautiful ascending wedge slash channel over here, with a 1, 2, 3, and then for example a sell-off, or of course the further push upwards. And additionally also fundamentally wise, it is more logical that the dollar index is going to push up higher. More information on the fundamental perspective will be shared inside the Discord community. So guys, that is pretty much it for the dollar index for today. Quickly looking at it from a 15-minute perspective, we could see that yesterday we were ranging quite a bit. We've now taken out the range low over here from this high down in towards this low. So now it would be logical to see a reversal in towards the upside potentially. 15-minute structure wise, this high has held the entire time, being our supply zone. And what we now want to see, of course, is this high be taken out, as I just explained on the 1 hour. Now let's move on into Aussie dollar, because there are some interesting opportunities lining up, guys. So starting off with Aussie dollar, yesterday I was looking for a potential short from either this area of supply or this higher area of supply on the 4 hour. As we of course still know, the daily is still bearish. If you want to know why, I've explained this pretty much in yesterday's video, with structure being bearish continuously. So this supply zone is pushing or suppressing price in towards the downside from Aussie dollar perspective. For the rest, we've taken pretty much all the orders from this area of daily demand. The longer that you rest inside an area of demand, the less likely it is to hold. Now moving in towards the 4 hour, I was looking pretty much for 2 areas of supply, right? This zone or this zone. So coming in towards this supply zone, are we just going to start selling straight off? No. What would we want to see? We would want to see a 4 hour change of character, hence my blue line over here. If the 4 hour was able to take that out, then I would be glad to take a short. Also, looking at the 15-minute time frame, the 15 minutes is still bullish. So if we just quickly draw in our structural highs and our structural lows, we can clearly see, and I just need to adjust this, but if we look at it from a 50-minute break of structure perspective, we can clearly see that we have bullish order flow that is in control. So for now, what I'm looking for, and again guys, we did see kind of like this break of structure in towards the downside as of yesterday, but as you can clearly see, this 15-minute area of supply is not providing us with anything. Why? Because if we look to our left, we do not have any 4 hour area of supply to support that 15-minute area of supply, hence it is pretty much neglectable. So moving up higher after this break of structure here, we can clearly see last night during Asian session at around 3 p.m. we got a beautiful setup over here with liquidation upon this low, tap in towards this area of demand and a further upside push, pushing price higher. And this is now our swing low over here. And this is currently our swing high. But preferably what we now want to see is a push on Aussie dollar, either down, for example, for now, liquidating this low over here and maybe reacting even to this demand zone, and then pushing up higher in towards 50-minute and 4-hour supply, or just continue to trickle up in towards that area of 4-hour supply, maybe kind of like stop here, grab some more orders, and move up in towards that 4-hour area of supply before moving in towards the downside from this area of 4-hour supply. If we draw it from wick to wick, though, kind of like how I did on the dollar index, then we have already tapped in towards this supply zone, which is also stacked, guys, with an area of daily supply, not the strongest area of daily supply. Why? Because for supply to be, let's say very valid, it needs to achieve something. This area has not achieved something. It's just pushed price down. It hasn't broken a low or anything. That's what I mean with achieving something. But the 4-hour area of supply is stacked with the daily supply, so we could already start selling off from here. So what would we need to see and look for a short? Well, we need to break this change of character low over here on the 4-hour and on the 50-minute as well. That is also the low that we need to break. So no longs, guys, from this area of demand. Of course, it could react and trickle up higher in towards, let's say, this refined 50-minute area of supply inside 4-hour and daily supply. But otherwise, just wait for this low to go and then for supply to play out. So yeah, very clear game plan for Aussie dollar. Moving on in towards euro dollar, because euro dollar has also been moving very interestingly. As you can clearly see, this daily area of supply, which causes a change of character, is suppressing price as of now. Additionally, we also have kind of like this third trendline touch or fourth trendline touch, whatever you want to call it, moving in towards the 4-hour time frame, because we know that the daily is bearish and has a daily bearish change of character. The 4-hour is currently also pretty much reacting overall to, let's say, this wick to wick area of supply, or inside that daily change of character supply. So it's kind of tricky to really properly trade euro dollar at the moment. Looking from the perspective when we were trading here, you could clearly say, okay, we can still trade this thing higher up. I still think euro dollar has some room to move up higher in towards that refined 4-hour area of supply, with the 4-hour now being bullish, of course, swing structure wise. Additionally, the change of character, low and high, are currently this low and this high, so we're still bullish change of character wise. Once this low over here goes, then I would be much more confident to see further downside from euro dollar. But for now, I would preferably just say, okay, move up in towards this highest area of supply, and then, for example, see a further sell-off. For this to confirm and come into fruition, what do we want to see? Well, again, pretty much all these pairs gave beautiful setups last night during Asian session. Again, this demand zone, liquidation upon this low, tap in towards this demand zone, and reversal in towards the highs. So for now, what does this mean? Well, this is still our swing low, and this is our swing high. So pretty much we could kind of like see a further move in towards the downside potentially, or we kind of like just like Aussie dollar, for example, take out these lows, move in towards this demand zone, and then move up higher in towards that 4-hour supply. This kind of becomes your swing low over here, and then, for example, look for the break of structure, and then look, for example, for the sell-off back down in towards discount of the overall 4-hour swing range. So a little bit complicated. If you have any additional questions, of course, make sure to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. So moving on in towards the daily time frame, and on pound dollar. So pound dollar, as we can clearly see, pretty much clean price action over here. If we look at it from a change of character perspective, of course, that daily change of character, pound dollar is a little bit more complicated, I would say, than euro dollar and Aussie dollar, purely because of the fact that it's very choppy. We haven't, for example, seen a push in towards this area of supply, and there's nothing really beautiful here from a daily perspective, just really messing around, in my opinion. If we go lower in towards the 4-hour time frame, again, you can see we've just been ranging in between this low and in between this high. From a change of character perspective, I would say, okay, there is still for the downside possibility, definitely from pound dollar with this bearish change of character. We would just want to see downside continuation. Also, this kind of like being your supply. If we then look at it, we're still in supply, but yeah, we've just been kind of like really ranging. I still want to see these kind of like triple bottoms get taken out and kind of like a push in towards there. Will it happen? Not sure, but it is more favorable in my opinion. Moving down in towards the 15-minute. Again, a very beautiful setup yesterday. The 15-minute is bullish, so that's also not very favorable if we would want to look for further downside. But also from an internal break of structure perspective, we are now bullish. So yeah, a lot of kind of like contradicting structure. If we look at it over here, break of structure in towards the highs, and IBOS, internal break of structure of this overall kind of like range from here to the here. Now we moved up, moved down in towards this demand zone over here, as we can clearly see, liquidated this low, and then kind of like pushed up during Asian session. Again, beautiful setup last night. But yeah, I mean, yeah, what would you want to do with this? In my opinion, nothing. 4 hour structure wise, it's just a little bit too ugly. Really ranging, could kind of just like move down again. What I often do in these situations, of course, just logically stay out or utilize my range trading tool and draw it from kind of like the high of the range over here to the low of the range. And then what you'll clearly see from either a 15 or 1 hour perspective is kind of like the 25% mark is acting as our support. This is kind of like a glitch that I really want you guys to use more. And then this 75% is kind of acting as resistance. So for now, yeah, just try and sell at the 75% mark and buy at the 25% mark. There's not really much more I can say, as long as you see that, for example, over here, supply held. Going back in towards the 4 hour again, yeah, you could say this is your supply zone over here, which took out this change of character low and should push price in towards downside. But then again, the 15-minute is in turn bullish. So I'm just staying out of pound dollar and waiting either for this area of demand to get hit or this area of supply to get hit. For the rest, not really interested in getting involved. Now, moving on into gold, because gold is, of course, our little baby. What we can clearly see is that we, reversed from this area of demand, as I mentioned yesterday, and are moving up higher towards 1953.01, which I'm still waiting for. Moving in towards the 15-minute. Again, guys, you can utilize this range trading tool. It's so clean. We can clearly see again, 25% mark acting as support, 75% mark acting as your resistance. So we acted or moved upon this area of supply over here. But yeah, that supply zone didn't really achieve anything except for kind of like grabbing. And this is a kind of like also a trick that you guys need to remember. This over here was liquidation, right? We can clearly see that people who sold here got kind of tapped out here. These kind of supply zones are called sweep zones and are always very strong. As we can see, strong reversal in towards the downside. But of course, with the fundamentals behind gold, it is far more logical for gold to push up higher. And therefore, we also pushed up higher. Now, 50-minute is still bullish, of course, just continuing its leg up. So yeah, you could consider this your swing low, this your swing high. So just wait for demand to get hit and then look for additional longs upon a pullback. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining in. I hope you guys found this very valuable. If you have any questions, just join the Discord in the link in the description down below. Wish you all a fantastic day and speak very, very soon. Thanks, guys.